Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. Today, we're going to be talking all about video production. Recently, we've had a lot of teachers email us and ask about what is my video production method? How do I make videos? How do I create videos? What can I do with my students to make great audio and video visuals for my school? Today we have an expert. Today we have a great representative from the Padcaster company. I want to bring on Josh. Josh, how are you today? Welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network.
Thank you for having me. What a great way to end the week.
Thank you so much for being here. Now, you and I had a chance to meet this last summer at ISTE, and I got a chance to check out the Padcaster, and I've been playing with it all summer. For those of you who are not familiar out there, what is a Padcaster?
Well, it's sort of an all-in-one turnkey solution to turn your iPad, which happens to be an incredible camera to begin with, turn it into a more ergonomic, full-featured video production system for capturing video, for live streaming video, for, in terms of education, for doing morning announcements with your students, student news, live streaming graduations and sporting events and things. And, we found since schools have them, they to be able to unlock that potential in them is really important. So it's, really hopefully something that can help elevate the experience of video production and sharing at schools.
Now, the one thing that I want to definitely stress about the Padcaster and why it's awesome is portability. And for anybody who's watching this show, I'm going to throw up the upper camera here. This is the broadcasting studio that I built a few years ago, and everything right now that you see in front of me, all the screens, all the computers, all the microphones, and everything underneath of these, honestly, has been completely transformed by this, Josh. You have taken over $20,000 worth of stuff and you've put it into literally what is a frame and a lens and a tripod. And I got to tell you, it's made me much more portable. The other day, a few weeks ago, actually, at this point, I took this out to the park and I did a 2-camera shoot between my iPad and my iPhone. And I didn't need to lug wires. I didn't need to lug a microphone. I didn't need to lug any of that stuff. This has completely made me a different video producer.
That's great. Well, I can see also you have an older iPad in there, so you might want to upgrade to at least an Air. You've got like an iPad 4 in that thing, right?
This was an iPad 4 that we have here. Certainly looking forward to, I believe you guys are now doing pre-orders for anybody with the 10.5-inch iPad.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'll scoot here. I thought I was going to the right side of the video. I'll stay over here. Now I'm in the middle. You heard it here first. We'll have them, they'll be shipping next week.
Wow.
So yeah, they're on their way to us now. Apple loves to not give anybody any specs before they release a product. So we're just like everybody else. We get them when we go out and buy them, then measure them, and then we reconfigure our current models to accommodate this one, which is actually a completely different body design, so that it's bigger in both length and width dimensions. And we had to do more work for this one than we'd had to do for other upgrades.
Now, I want to get into all the details, the specs. Of course, anybody out there listening is interested in this. You can go to padcaster.com. All the details, all the stuff is there. We've been doing some reviews over on TeacherCast. If anybody's been looking at the stuff on TeacherCast recently, Padcaster, you might know, was one of the first products that we awarded our brand new TeacherCast Best in Class to. And that's because we have, again, over the summertime, I completely had the opportunity to check out the product, play with it, get it in my hands, give it to my babies. And one of the things that we test all of our STEM equipment, video equipment on is, does it pass the 3-year-old test, which is if they drop it, does it break? Everything here is absolutely great. Before we get into all of that stuff, Josh, I want to back up. Talk to us a little bit about yourself. You were the guy that created the Padcaster, I believe. What is your background in the whole Padcaster story here?
Well, my background is it's more of a film production background. So, I went to graduate school for film. Actually, you can see my master's of fine arts right behind me.
Nice.
Yeah, look, I shellacked it to a piece of wood and it looks really professional. And so I came at it from film, and then I was a film editor for many years, and I started a school that teaches film editing and film production. And I actually am still involved with running that, though not day to day. There are people who have much more time to do that than I do now. And this came out of that. We were at NAB with B&H Photo. They were selling our training as an add-on to editing systems that they sold, Final Cut and Premiere systems. And so you could buy like a weekend certified class in our training. That happened to coincide with the release of the iPad 2. And we went and started shooting interviews on the show floor with vendor friends of ours and editing them and uploading them right from the show floor over a data plan. And that when that happened, people's light bulbs went off, and people couldn't believe nothing could do that at the time. And that was only, that was 2011. If you think about how recent that was, the technology was really not even existent. But I took it from there. And with a lot of encouragement from people who said this might be something interesting, kept developing it into, something more complex. I know an engineer who worked nights and weekends to help me develop what you have in your hands, essentially, which was the Gen 1 Padcaster case.
One of the questions that we get asked an awful lot here is, how do you make video, and why is video important? Let me throw the second question at you first, Josh. Why is it important for students and teachers to bring in video into their classrooms and into their lessons?
Well, it's important, but I have 3 kids, and there's I want to say it's a blessing and a curse. I'm not fully I haven't fully bought into video as like the ultimate learning tool, but I think as a way to express yourself as a student, a way to look at the world and learn about the world, it's unique because it can give you an experience that is so multi-dimensional. And the idea that you can not just consume information on an iPad, but you can also create and share information makes that, to me, that technology really important as a two-way street. And it's like a new window into learning. And for video creators, a sketch pad for ideas. I mean, it's such an incredible machine. I tell people at trade shows, I wish I invented that. This is what I do is basically to assist and enhance that. But that's really, the heart of it there.
And as far as the next evolution of those questions is, what app do you use? I mean, I thought we could kind of go back here. I'm a fan of recording on the native camera app, or there's one called like Movie Pro that I like. What do you suggest to use on the iPad?
Well, in another month, I'll suggest using Padcaster's app because we're actually making one now. And it will allow us to provide better support for people who are shooting video, because it'll be a product that's ours and that we understand. And when it upgrades, we'll know why it upgrades. With Movie Pro and with the iOS built-in apps, we're really, we provide the support because we have to. I mean, it's our product and we have to stand by our recommendations. That said, I don't find the built-in camera very robust. You can't monitor your audio while you're recording, which is a real losing proposition to me.
Yes.
The controls are very basic. Movie Pro, on the other hand, is really robust. It allows you to control basic things like focus, exposure, audio levels, and you can listen to what you're doing while you're doing it. So, that's really my go-to, or at least is for the next 30 days or so.
And just so one more time, do we have a release date for that app yet, Josh?
No, gosh, I probably shouldn't even mention it here,
okay.
But we're hard at work developing something really feature rich, and something I think it's going to be very, very exciting.
And is that iPhone, iPad?
Yes, it will be. Maybe someday Android, but man, I don't know.
When we're looking at the device, I mean, obviously the iPad gives you the flexibility to record. It gives you the flexibility of all of these different apps for editing. iMovie, am I saying this right? Luma Fusion?
Yep, that's a great editing tool right there.
There's a lot of great ones that are out there. What's your editing app of choice? I didn't ask you that yet.
Well, my editing app of choice is really a desktop application. Because I'm an editor and I come from the old school, I learned on film. So I'm looking at 2 screens on a Steenbeck with film reels and, confetti all over the place. So I like to have that real estate on the screen, and have, maybe my source material on one window and my timeline and my editing project on another. iMovie is great for something very fast. And I think cutting on the iPad for short form work is completely fine. Luma Fusion is the most feature rich editor I've ever seen.
Yes.
Because it came from, ultimately back in the beginning, it was Avid Studio. It was Avid's tablet or their iOS editor. And, I've had a lot of experience over the years with Avid's desktop editing system. And I was telling people that's the best product Avid made in 10 years. And then they went and sold it to Corel, and it turned into Pinnacle Studio. And it's really gone around and around and around. And now it's settled into what it is currently, which is really best in breed.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of teachers that are elementary based, and they're looking for just that simple way to teach video. We always talk. I'm a tech coach. Today I was working all day in a high school social studies class. They wanted to do a video project and use iMovie and all these things. I said, you don't want to be teaching video editing. You want to be teaching content. So, I was showing off, create using a screencasting app, put it into a Google Slides, and just go slide, 30 seconds. Like, you don't have to teach editing. But for teachers out there that are looking for it, do you have any tips and tricks on teaching the art of editing? Maybe not gear the answer for the movie film club teacher, but for the general 3rd through 9th grade teacher who just wants to try this out. Maybe they're making morning announcements. Maybe they're doing some basic things. What advice do you give that person that's like, where do I start, man?
Well, I think the first step, and it's not a hardware solution at all, is just be patient. And I think that because everything's so quick, and when film editing evolved from analog to digital, everyone thought that just because it's digital, it's faster. So the process of editing should therefore be faster. And it's not true. So editing requires watching your footage, understanding what works and what doesn't work, even whether you're doing a string out of morning announcements or you're doing a complex scene between characters in a film. So, even in iMovie, sequencing your material and looking at it once it's sequenced without cutting anything out, just watching it out and seeing, taking notes and understanding what works and what doesn't, it really actually ends up reducing the amount of time because you're giving it the attention it deserves as a whole piece. And that way you can mark, on paper when you're watching it, where you want to make edit points and then go back and do a, more fine cut. But I think part of it is we expect everything to be so fast, and apps like I think Replay is the program GoPro acquired that will allow you to sort of throw everything into sort of an editor blender, and it'll put music underneath it and try to pick what it decides is the sweet spot of every shot. And, all these tools that make editing sort of automated, they sort of forget the fundamental thing, which is it's a human experience, it's an emotional experience. So whether you're a teacher teaching very young students or, a professional cutting something, on a higher level, it still takes the same tools, the same skill set as an editor. They're applied differently, but it's just pay attention, have patience, and, edit and re-edit and re-edit.
I echo and echo and echo that. Let me ask you the same question, but now let's talk to those film teachers that are out there. I work very closely with our film studio at our high school. Your editing app of choice. Are you an Avid guy? Are you an Adobe person? Are you a Final Cut person? What do you recommend to anybody out there?
Well, as I was sort of like the people who came up on Avid. That was what I learned digital editing on. And so I was exclusively an Avid editor because that was the only solution that existed. When Final Cut Pro version 1 came in 1999, I couldn't get on it fast enough. For $1,000, you could own something that essentially you could rent for $1,000 a week up until that point. So I switched. I never looked back. Final Cut has been, and even through its sort of, rebirth or whatever you want to call it. I mean, a lot of people were very alienated by it when it relaunched as Final Cut X years ago. I stayed with it. And to me, specifically for short form, I don't know that I would cut long form, although I have cut half-hour pieces on it and things like that. It's the fastest thing I've ever seen, and it's so deep with features that you may not see on the top because it doesn't provide everything you need. But that's really the one. Now, as someone who runs a school in film editing, I can tell you I'm in the minority. Yes. People who started in Avid and then felt betrayed by Final Cut when they switched, went back to Avid. They'll never switch from Avid ever again. People who started in Final Cut and then felt betrayed by Final Cut when it changed to X, went to Premiere. And we're finding that, it took years for that transition to happen, but people are embracing Premiere, and that's the suite of programs, very much doing tons of professional level work on that.
Over the years, we've done courses here or podcasts here on Final Cut. I'm a big Final Cut guy. I've spent way too much money on plugins and titles and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
we've had people come on and do how to teach Final Cut to kindergartners. Import movie, chop, export,
Mhm.
done. And of course, Final Cut is also used on major Hollywood films. And it's the same program. You're just
Mhm.
adding and subtracting things. What is important is how to get the film in there. And that's, I think, where the Padcaster comes from. Padcaster has the ability to be purchased as a standalone device,
Mhm.
which is this, and or you also have different variations. Talk to us a little bit about the different configurations. What comes along with just the simple Padcaster, and what are the different things that maybe a high school studio or a school district could look at if they were going to be buying this with some of the extra accessories?
Sure. Well, we started as just a Padcaster, which was a case. It was the urethane insert in the aluminum frame and maybe a lens bracket, but not even a lens. And I think people were, because it was also years ago and the technology hadn't really caught on the way it has now, people were very confused by it. What do I do with this thing? And it's great to hold my door open, but I don't understand how I would make video with it. As it evolved, it turned into a solution more than a product. So we included a lens and a microphone. And actually, I can show you the microphone that's on this microphone up here is the one that we chose. And there's a lens, a wide-angle lens. It's not this. This is actually, I'll talk about it. It's evolved even more because as we started talking to people in education, we realized that even if we provided them with a lens and a microphone and a case for their iPad, then they still had to figure out what their tripod would be, their lighting would be, if they were doing any chroma key at all, how they would deal with the green screen. And so the product and then the solution evolved into the Padcaster Studio, which is really what every educator buys now. And I think it's great that they gave us so much positive feedback and great information saying, this is what I want. I don't want to have to go and get anything else once I buy this. I just want to know that I'm good in all of these different environments. I'm good to go, and that it'll fit in a backpack, which it does. It all fits into something like, completely portable, except for the tripod, I guess. That's in its own bag, but it'll strap onto the bag. So the Studio now comes with not just a shotgun microphone, but a lavalier microphone, an interview mic, a little stick microphone like this. So it really handles a number of different audio situations that you might find yourself in. And, it really kind of, I don't know, it's sort of an all-purpose, recording studio for video. The tripod's included, and we have a teleprompter now that people really, really love. It's just this tiny little teleprompter that mounts right in front of the lens. You can take any old phone or anything you can download an app to and just set it right in here and run text on a free teleprompter app. So instead of having to remember what you want to say, and for kids doing news, it's great because they come off looking like professional news anchors. They're looking directly into the camera lens when they're reading the teleprompter. That's how it's worked. So the reward you get for not memorizing anything is actually that you end up looking like you are talking into the viewer's soul. I mean, it makes a huge difference. And as we started bundling these things together, people responded so positively that the Ultimate Studio came to be the core education product. It does, you've mentioned before, it comes with a green screen, but I don't think it would fit in here. So I don't think I'm gonna open it up or crash it down. It's a 5 foot by 7 foot green screen that folds into a ring that's about 32 inches, a disc that, it's sort of a whole podcast just to figure out how to fold it up. So I'll save that for another one.
It is the all-in-one studio, and again, it is portable. I remember a couple years ago, for several years at ISTE, I would bring suitcases down and I would set up a table and we would do a live show, and I'd have to have a camera with all the equipment, and everything that I've done has been completely put into that backpack right there. It's funny, Josh. I'm excited and really upset at the same time with everything here because it's so portable. Talk to us a little bit about how easy this stuff is. You've got the light, you've got the microphone. Most teachers might get a little intimidated by that. What do we need to know when working with a light or a shotgun mic outside of make sure that there's batteries in there?
Well, I'm not just the owner, I'm also tech support. So I get every question, and most of them are, my microphone doesn't work. I need to return it. My microphone's broken. Something's wrong with your mic. And it's sometimes the battery. I won't kid you. I respond by saying, look, I'm going to ask you a series of stupid questions, just making sure that there's, that we can rule out a couple possibilities. And more often than not, they have the batteries in their microphones. The shotgun mic takes a 9-volt, and the lavalier takes a battery that's included with it, actually. So if it's not that, then 99% of the time it's that they're shooting on the built-in camera app on the iPad. And even though in the packaging and on our website, we recommend using other apps like Movie Pro and Filmic Pro, and soon to be our own, that will allow you to hear what you're doing while you're recording, the built-in camera doesn't let you monitor your sound. So they'll plug in headphones, they'll plug in their mic, they'll go to record, they don't hear anything. Sometimes they'll play it back and they'll realize that it did record, they just couldn't hear it. But I think, again, taking it a little slow, looking up information. We have a ton of videos and FAQs on, almost all of this information for people who are just getting started. We have a video that's a complete setup of the studio from the backpack to the full studio, that is available as a private link, or another version that's going to be on our site in a few days. So what we're trying to do is, provide that resource for people as a company. And then of course there's always support at padcaster.com, which is, the email box that grows, all the time with generally good questions. Just every once in a while it is my favorite is, I didn't get my step down ring, which is it's actually a ring that's pre-installed on the lens bracket. And because it's already on there, people think it didn't come with it, and they get angry at me sometimes.
I got to tell you, and I'm saying this as a friend, but I'm saying this as somebody who has worked with other teachers. The support for the company is amazing. If you go out on Twitter, you're at Padcaster. Mm-hmm. They support the teachers out there. They're reaching out to teachers out there. Every time I tweet at them, they always tweet back. And I've had the opportunity to work with several teachers. And Josh, I'm right there with you. I had a principal recently call up and say, I just got this. Can you troubleshoot something for me? My microphone isn't picking up any sound. I said, you didn't put the battery in there. Josh, over your shoulder, if I'm right here, there's something else that is brand new, isn't there?
Well, there's a couple of things. I'll move the tripod out of the way. We're, moments away from launching a new product that is for small tablets and smartphones. It's a long time coming. It's been through a million different iterations, but hopefully it was worth the wait for people. We kickstarted it over a year ago, and packages are actually shipping now. I know because my fulfillment person is calling me saying things I can't actually say on this on broadcast. So I'll show it to you now. It's a few different configurations. This is the Padcaster Verse.
Wow.
So this is an iPhone 7 Plus. It will fit anything from an iPad mini on down. I'll show you the actual grip. The heart of the matter, and the hardest thing to actually figure out, was the actual Verse itself, which is a small hand grip, and can be used almost like you would carry a DSLR once your phone is in there. But the idea is it was take a lot of different products that we liked, and said to ourselves, what would we want if we could just take all the great features of all these things we've seen that we love and turn it into one thing that was sort of, it had all those things. It wasn't like, oh, I wish it just had this one feature, this other feature. I wish it fit a tablet or a phone. So we really tried to make it a really versatile product. So the bite on it is really long. So you can see it's got about a 5.5-inch range. But if you deploy these little arms here, it actually can be made to be very, very small. So you can have a tiny little phone in there, or you could have a iPad mini on down from there. And the idea is that you would put your phone in, and it clicks down and it locks. There's actually a safety that we put on at the very end to prevent you from accidentally hitting the release button. But then you hit the release button and it opens up, and it's just, it couldn't be easier to use. It has a cold shoe slot on the top, and then one on either side. So actually you can mount 3 different accessories just on this little grip, and it has a 1/4-20 thread on the bottom. So, hopefully it does a lot of things that, replace a lot of equipment for people, but just being easy to use. So this has a 7 mounted in it, you can see there, and a microphone that we're going to start to sell. It's a really nice little unidirectional mic with a windscreen, and then we have this is a pistol grip, and it's also a power bank. So this little guy will charge your phone about 2 times, but it also lets you do a tabletop interview. If you wanted to sort of, you're doing a run and gun shoot and then you want to set it down, you could set it down on a table, do an interview, and then you could run around and shoot handheld as well. The other configuration that we have is it also lives in a cage. So the full kit will be something. I'll hold it up in front of my face. This is an iPhone 6, I believe, and the case we'll provide for that has 4 lenses on it. So it'll have wide angle, macro, fisheye, and telephoto. And this allows you to put stuff all over the place. It's got, I think it has about 16 mounting holes around it, and it can also be mounted on a tripod once the Verse is installed in there. And it's also good for handheld video as well. But you can see we were hard at work trying to make a product that that we wanted to use. That if we were going to run out there and shoot professional video on our phones, and these phones are shooting great, the footage is amazing that these things will produce. But we also didn't want to make something, like our standard iPad Padcaster. We have to redesign it every time there's another version of the iPad. Here, it's something that can fit any phone of any build, of any brand. And it's sort of upgrade proof, and that was also very important to us.
Josh, did I hear you right? The stand of that device is a charging dock, or how did that work again? You can plug your phone into it?
I'll show you. Let me see, where did I put it? Oh, okay, so here it is. It's called the X-Pod. So it's a pistol grip. It's also a tabletop tripod, and it has a head on it that is a ball head, so it can be adjusted in almost any position and then locked. And then it's also right here. I'll get up close. I can hold it there. Where is it?
We're good.
There you go. So it's a power bank. So you can charge it, and then with the USB, the micro USB, I think, and then it has a USB to Lightning cable. So if I was actually shooting my son's football game with this, and I was running low on power, I just plugged the phone into the X-Pod and kept shooting without having to worry about running out of juice during the game.
That right there is what we call an ISTE game changer. Because I can't tell you how many times we've done that, and Josh, that is awesome. When did you say that was available for everybody out there?
That's coming soon. I would say certainly within 30 days, maybe sooner than that. The X-Pod's on our site now. I just think the application of it for iPads is a little counterintuitive because the Padcaster is so large. It does work with a mini, but you have to be using an iPad mini for that. But for Verse, it makes total sense, because if you want something that you can just holster or throw in a shoulder bag completely built all the time, you would connect the X-Pod to the Verse, a microphone on the top, and then just keep it built and just have it ready to go whenever.
I got to tell you, I recently upgraded to an 8 Plus. I had an OtterBox on a 6 Plus, and that was about 2 or 3 more inches around. I could not find anything that matched that. I hate it that I had to take off the case constant. Yes, exactly. I just got rid of that, and you and I see, now it makes sense. You and I were talking about this at ISTE when you saw me doing my stuff, and that is absolutely fantastic. I have to say, anybody out there that's interested in podcasting, any school that might say, I want to do morning announcements, or I want to do videos of our assemblies, or any of that stuff, check out all the great stuff over at padcaster.com. Josh, you guys are doing some amazing things over there. I usually end by saying, what's the future? But I'm sitting here amazed at what the present is with all of this stuff here.
Well, that was the future.
That was the future.
For educators, though, I think there's a couple of things that are going to be interesting. We just found a polarizing filter and a variable ND filter. So when you're shooting outside, you want to make it brighter and darker. You can actually turn a filter that will stop. It'll actually reduce by 1 stop, 3 stops, and 9 stops. It's an ND 3, 6, and 9. So 1, 2, or 3 stops of light. So it'll work really well outside. Another thing that I'm really excited about is we're making a hood. So if you're shooting outside and the sun's on the screen, a lot of people say, I can't see the screen when I'm shooting outside. We created basically a hood that's custom built for the Padcaster, that it actually collapses and folds flat, and it turns into a hard case so that it's almost like a tough book.
Wow.
And you don't have to take the iPad out. It protects the glass when it's closed. So a couple of cool things coming up. I think, outside of Verse, I guess that's to me the most exciting.
That's kind of cool. I'm looking forward to seeing that stuff in action here. I got to tell you that running around here with the Padcaster and a bunch of 3-year-olds has certainly been a fun experience here. All right, I want to just take a left turn on this show here and bring up something recently with the iPad. This is total video nerd stuff, but what's your opinion these days on augmented reality and the fact that all the phones and probably next year the iPads are going to be AR? Do you see us doing live Padcaster video where you see a 3D dinosaur walking around? I mean, what is your take on all this AR stuff that's popping out?
We're already looking at what the potential could be, certainly in education. I mean, imagine sending your students out on a scavenger hunt and you want to learn about history, and round the corner and there's a historical figure giving a speech, or there's something that happened in that spot 200 years ago that you can observe as if it's right in front of you. I mean, that's one of about 1,000 applications of AR that are, they're going to start happening. I mean, people are now developing all kinds of things. I think that there's a ton of potential, and I've seen external sensors built for iOS devices already that you can mount, that we'll probably find something that we can mount, right here on top of the lens, or I guess there's the lens, so that you can actually be mapping spaces and building things that, that you can bring into that experience. I think it's going to be, absolutely huge.
My kids and I have been playing augmented reality basketball, and just something as simple as that. The kids are getting a kick out of this thing, and I'm actually watching them run around the phone trying to find this imaginary basketball net. They're having a good time with it.
It's better than Pokemon Go.
Yes, it certainly is. Josh, I gotta say, the equipment is fantastic. The future for Padcaster is amazing. One more time, tell us where we can find the great stuff that you guys have here, and talk to us one more time about that whole studio setup that school districts are purchasing.
Okay, so find us very easy. It's padcaster.com. Don't let your computer autocorrect the A to an O. We have a lot of people who assume it's Podcaster. It is Padcaster with an A. And yeah, you'll find everything. You'll find all of our products, all of our how-to videos. You'll find examples of things that have been shot on iPads, live stream events that we've done, so that if people want to, live stream graduations or, school events, they can see how we went about doing it and get in touch with us for more information. But the studio is right there for education. The Ultimate Studio is really this all-in-one turnkey production studio. It replaces so many things that people felt that they needed, and about 2 miles of cable that are no longer necessary. It's, imagine taking 4K video and bringing great sound, great optics, teleprompters, green screens. We now have dolly wheels that everybody wants to roll their kit from one class to the next because they don't want to crash it down. But imagine having that. And then if you did want to crash it down, being able to throw it on your back in a backpack and just taking it from place to place. So we want it to be intuitive and easy for educators, because not all educators are video professionals, and something that, makes it fun for people to learn on. And I think that's really the point.
Check out everything happening over at padcaster.com. Josh, thank you so much, not only for supporting TeacherCast and sharing these great products with us, but for making them for teachers and making this technology easy for literally pre-K, because I've got 3-year-olds, through everywhere on the education. Congratulations on such a great product line.
Thank you very much. And we're going to get you an iPad 5th gen. How's that? We'll figure out a way to get you up to speed.
I am looking so much forward to it as the TeacherCast Broadcasting Network continues to evolve. And I want to say thank you guys out there for not only supporting TeacherCast and all the great stuff that we have going on the last 6.5 years, but for being a member of our TeacherCast audiences. Of course, several great ways that you can reach out and be a part of this and all of our shows. You can find us on Twitter at TeacherCast. Leave us a voicemail over at teachercast.net/voicemail. Email us at feedback at teachercast.net. And if you love these shows, please subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube over on teachercast.net/iTunes and teachercast.net/YouTube. On behalf of everybody here on the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today, and keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.